Hi, I want to tell you about why I love creating and reading annual reports. So, to be honest, it wasn't always like that. Years and years ago, I didn't really like annual reporting. I found that annual reports were usually too long and too boring, and the finance part was beyond me. I didn't get anything from that. And that also made that I didn't like to contribute to it. So, as a project manager, I had to write about my project, and I felt like, why should I write about my super exciting project and have that text in a boring report so that everybody will think that my project is boring also. So it wasn't motivating for me to be part of that process until I became in charge of the process. And then I started seeing, when I started being responsible also for the finance part, I started seeing that an annual report is actually a tool that can help you decode an organization. You can really find out a lot about the organization, about its past, its present, its future, by looking at the annual report. It's really like a detective story, looking for clues. It's like a puzzle, trying to see how does this fit my picture, how does it fit with me. And I really started enjoying it, and now I really love it. So that's where I am now. And what I wanted to say to you is that every report sends a message, right? And you need to understand what the message is that you're sending. So you need to understand really all the details about annual reporting to understand where are the points that you can put in messages. And you need to then be very intentional about that. Because if you're not, your report is going to send out messages anyway, but then there might be messages that are not your messages. Maybe there are messages that are wrong, that are not the things that you want the reader, like me, to see or to conclude or to think, right? So you need to be intentional about it and make sure that everything that I see in your report is something that you want me to see, something that you think is important for me to understand, that you're a great organization, you're doing great work, and you need my support and you deserve my support, right? So let me say, I'm Susanne. I love annual reporting because it's strategic and it's practical. I love that combination. And that goes for all nonprofit operations. So, in this channel, you will hear me talk, see me talk about a lot of nonprofit operations topics that I try to approach from a strategic point of view so that your contracting, your HR, your finance, your admin, project design, planning, communication, everything will be strategic and intentional. If you're interested in that, then you can also subscribe to my newsletter. You can find the link below this video. You can also leave a comment there sharing how you liked your own organization's annual report last year. Did it make you feel proud? Was it interesting for you? Were you happy to share it with other people? Tell me in the comments. So now I will tell you what I will look for in your report, what I will see there, and what it will do to me, what I will make of that. So the first thing that I look for is impact. So I'm not really looking for how much did you achieve. Well, I'm also looking for that, but now I'm mainly looking for how do you write about impact? Do I get a sense that you have a system in place where you are collecting impact information about impact very structuredly and intentionally and regularly throughout the year? Or are you just, because of its annual reporting time, collecting stories at the end of the year or maybe even a couple of months after the year ended and trying to reconstruct things? Do you have systems in place? Do you have people in place who make this a strategic part of your project design and implementation or not? This is where you can build trust with me because I like systems and many people like systems even if they don't say it because it makes them feel safe, right? If you have a system, I know I can count on you that you will do the same thing in the same way next time. So it's sort of a guarantee. The other thing that I look at regarding impact is how you write about it. So how do you write about the change that you are creating in the lives of the people that you're working for and working with, the people who are taking part in your activities, right? How are you writing about that? Are you writing in their voice? Do I get the sense that they're talking to me? Or are you writing about them as a sort of summary or from an expert point of view? Yeah, for me, that gives me information about your values. And that also gives me some information into how you're dealing with the people that you're working with inside your team and outside your team. So it speaks to organizational culture. And this is where I might feel aligned with you, or where I might feel, yeah, we're not aligned. My values are different. I don't like this way, how I feel that you're dealing with these people inside and outside your team. So this is where I might actually start feeling good about you or doubtful about you. Another thing that I look at is your future orientation. Maybe it's a bit weird because it's an annual report about last year, but I'm looking for, are you planning for and preparing for and are you ready for the future? Do you have, for instance, a financial buffer in place? Just in case something bad happens, you need to bridge a funding gap, an emergency happens, or something that you need to respond to, even though you don't have a project grant or a donation for that. Are you ready for that? Do you have the financial possibility to do that or not? But also, do I see that you have ongoing projects so that some income is guaranteed for next year? Do I see that your donors are coming back to you? Yeah, or are they leaving after one bad experience with you? That's important. Also, do you have insight into risks? Are you sharing that with me as well? And do you have a system in place to manage risks? And I'm not talking about a nice table in your report with a list of risks, the impact that they could have, and numbers and stories and things like that. I'm looking for something real, right? I don't need something on paper. It's good if it is on paper, but I should get the sense that it's a real thing, a living thing that you're actually using and not just putting in the report just for me to see. And also, I'm looking for, how are you connecting the future, your plans for the future, with the past? So, do I see that you are giving me a perspective of your future plans, which is part of your annual report? And is that somehow connected to the things that I can read about in the past? So your expertise that you've built up, maybe new insights that you got about the needs of the people that you're working with, maybe some lessons learned, we'll get to that. Maybe some other things that happened in the outside world that made you change your priorities, maybe in your strategic plan or something like that. Are you building a storyline from the past to the future so that I know that your future plans are based in analysis, facts, insight, expertise, experiences, needs, instead of that you're just running where you think the money is, and this year you'll focus on that, next year you'll focus on that, just depending on who gives money for what, without a plan or intention. And that gives me the sense that you're opportunistic, that it's not sure that you will be able to exist next year or the year after that. And it also gives me the sense that you're not really having a clear insight into the needs of the people that you're serving, because they are not guiding you in your plans, because you don't have plans, you're just going where the money is. And so I want to see that you have this storyline from the past to the future, even if you need to pivot your activities a bit, but if that's based on things that you can point to in the current report or maybe the year before that, then it gives me faith that you are ready for the future, that you're planning for it, and that I can trust that if I would support you, you would still be there in the next few years to be able to create that impact that I would like to support you with, right? As a reader, that's important. Then I already mentioned it, lessons learned, right? So as a reader, I'm looking for everything that went wrong, right? I'm not looking only for successes. I'm also looking for what didn't go as planned. what things happened that made it needed for you to pivot, to change your plans, to adjust your plans, and what were the things that caused that, and how did you respond to that? How did you handle that? Yeah, so I don't want to hear only about external situations, about external factors like floods and wars and drafts and whatever it is. They're all bad. They can all impact you, your work, in a negative way. And if they did, I want to know about it. But then I also want to know how you responded to that and how you plan to respond to that in the future if it happens again or if it continues. But I also want to know, like, what happened internally. What were the things that actually your needs assessment wasn't right? Your planning didn't make sense. It was too optimistic. Maybe you didn't have the right people on board actually to do the things properly. Maybe there were other things going on in your team that you needed to focus on. And I don't mean that you need to tell me like who's to blame and who got fired. That's not really important for me, and that's not the information that you should really put in a public annual report. But I want to know, like, how are you looking at yourself? Are you actually reflecting on yourself? Are you professional organization monitoring not only the project implementation but also your own role in that, and how things could be better next time? And how are you then handling that, right? How are you solving that? How are you going to apply the lessons learned that you extract from these experiences? And that gives me trust in you, because it gives me a sense of what it's like to be you. It gives me a sense of what are the challenges that you, your team are facing. And I already know that life isn't easy for nonprofits. And I will see that in your report if you also pay attention to lessons learned, to mistakes, things that didn't go as planned. And that's sort of creating that relation with me, right? That's where I start feeling like I can understand a little bit of what it's like to be you, how hard it is, and how you're trying to do the right thing, and then facing all these challenges and problems, and how you're navigating your way through that. And then I get a sense of, yeah, that gives me like confidence in them, right? They have the systems, they have aligned values, they're ready for the future, and I feel that I can trust them. I feel like I have a rapport with them, right? That's super important. That's where your annual report can really become a very powerful marketing tool if you use it strategically and really look for what are the messages that I'm sending and how can I make them the messages that I want to send. If you want to know more about how you can use your annual report for your nonprofit as a powerful marketing tool, then please watch the next video, because I have a video for you about that.